Yo guys, JJ here, and welcome to another episode of how to make an inventory system in Unity 5. So in this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make a sort slot for your inventory, and you'll be able to take your items that are in your inventory, just shift click over them, and they'll drop from the inventory into the hotbar and vice versa. And it'll also make sure that no item goes into another item. So if this copper brick is already in the hotbar in the first slot, and you shift click on the iron, it will go to the second slot and not the first. And it'll also do it for the player view. So if you have any items in your player view like a helmet, chest plate, legs, or pants, and shift click the pants, it'll go straight into the inventory and sort it. So that's what I'll be showing you today, and let's get straight into the code. So in the code down here, we'll just go straight up to where it says transform, and we're going to add another one right after the original slot. So what this is going to be called is going to be called sort slot. Oh, lowercase sort slot. There we go. And then we're going to add another one. It's going to be called hotbar count. And a third one, it's going to be called the slot count. Alright. Now, I'm just going to get these all ordered. There we go. And now down here, right after this, we're going to add 3 more. So public, and these are going to be transforms, but they're going to be arrays. So transform array. So this is how you do array. You just use square brackets, and that tells the C# code or Unity that it's an array. So we have transform array, and this array is going to be called slots. Yeah. And this second array is going to be called public transform and this one's going to be called hotbar. The third one's going to be a public. Yeah. Come on, type today. Public, there we go. Transform. And this one's going to be player view. There we go. Okay, so we got these transforms and these other transforms up here. So how are we going to use them? First off, we're going to be going straight into the update function, right where it says get mount spun down, and we're going to go right before can grab. We're going to add another if statement, or add another if statement. So if, okay, I really can't type today, so bear with me. So if the input dot get key, just get key, and this is going to be key code left shift. There we go. So if you're clicking and you're holding the left shift, that's what this key equals. That's what it means. If it was get key down, it would only be that frame that you hit the shift key. So we don't want that. So we'll just have this and then curly brackets. And this is going to be whatever's after this. This is all going to be in the else statement. So else, and just alt these up. Alright. Oh, there we go. So in here, what are we going to do? First off, we're going to do original slot equals selected slot, a selected item dot parent. Okay. And after that, we're going to do 3 ifs. So if the selected item dot parent dot parent dot parent dot parent, 4 parents because the inventory equals, or double equals inventory Ooh, inventory. There we go. Make sure these are exactly the same thing that you have in Unity. So inventory, it's capital I, same exact thing. Make sure they're exactly the same. So the reason why I did 4 parents is because the items in here is 1 parent, 2 parent, 3 parent, 4 parent. So it's the 4th parent. Actually, I forgot to do something. Right after parent, make sure you do name, because it'll just think you're talking about the transform and not the actual name. So after that, we're going to be doing, so we'll do whatever's in there, and then else if the selected item dot parent, so this is only 2 parents this time because it's for the hotbar. See, there's only it's in the slot, and this is the parent, and this is the parent. So there's only 2 for there, and the same exact thing for the player view. So we'll only add 2 for those. So parent.parent.name and equals hotbar. Oh, there we go. And then another else if selected item dot parent dot name is equal to player space view. Just gonna make sure this is all set. Player view, hotbar, player view, and hotbar exactly the same. That's good. So after this, and we got all these things. So what are we gonna do? After that, we're gonna actually reference 2 functions. So down here, I'm gonna add 2 functions. One void. It's gonna be called inventory sorting. There we go. The second is gonna be called hotbar sorting. Oh, backwards. Alright, so if you're in the inventory, what do you want to do? You want to do hotbar sorting. And if you're in the hotbar, we're going to do inventory sorting. And in if you're in the player view, we're going to again do inventory sorting, because you don't want to go straight to the hotbar. If you're in the player view and you shift click, you don't want it to go from the player view into the hotbar. You want it to go into the inventory. So that's why we do inventory sorting. So these 3 are all set. This else is all set. Oh, and these are actually all set. So after, if we have in the inventory, if we have an item that's like an armor, and we want it to go to the player view, we can add that functionality right here in a future episode. It's actually not a lot of things to add. We'll just do it like else, actually like an if statement, like if the select item dot like type is armor, then we'll go to the player view sorting or whatever like that, something like. So that's something we can add in the future. Okay, so what are we gonna do down here in the inventory sorting? We're gonna start by doing a for loop, because the inventory, all the slots are in order. We can do a for loop. If they weren't all named corresponding each other, then we wouldn't be able to do a for loop. That's what I was talking about when I was talking about the player view. But since it's only 4 things for slots, there's no real need to do a for loop, because we could just do it 4 times. It actually might be a little less code than doing a for loop, but because there's like so many slots, a for loop is so great for this, because there's like 42 slots, it's really good to do a for loop because we're doing exactly the same thing each time. Okay, so for loop. So int, we're going to just call this I. You can call it whatever you want. If int I, actually, int I equals 0. So I, if I is less than the slots dot length. So what does that say? What does that mean? So slots dot length. Here, I'll just do I plus plus. So slots dot length equal is the length of this array. So how many transforms are in this array? So that's basically what that is. So this will run until it reaches the end of all the slots. Is basically what that means. Okay. So after that, as we're looping through this, the first thing we're going to do is an if statement. So this is going to be if the if slots with a capital S, that's referencing the array. If slots number I, which is the int that we have right here. So currently it's 0. Once it loops through once, it'll plus plus. This doesn't add until the stuff after the first loop. So after the first loop, it'll equal 1, and then this will equal 1. So that's why we use the same integer right here, so we can loop through and get all of the slots. So dot child count equals less than 1, which is seeing if there's any childs in there. If there's no child in there, this will equal true. This will run. So, well, what do we want to do? We want to make it so that the sort slot is equal to the slots and I. So that's what we want. Basically, that's all that we need. And then actually after that, if it is equal to that, if it does find the first slot that it finds that has no child, it'll equal that, but this will keep looping. It won't stop unless we do this, unless we return. So after that, we don't want it to loop anymore, so we'll just return out of this code. So what this return does is it goes back to the place where you referenced this originally, that function originally. So it'll go back to the update function. So it'll go right to here. So if you're in the hotbar, it'll go right here. And it'll go actually after this code. So it will actually pop out of this code, and go straight to this, which is good. So else the sort slot is equal to null. We want to make sure it doesn't equal anything. So that is good. This is basically exactly the same thing we're going to be doing down here. So basically what you can do is you just copy this, copy, and paste that down here. So we can use hotbar dot length, and then hotbar, but basically replace all the hotbar, all the slots with hotbar, and then equals hotbar. There we go. That's all you need to do. And all this code is basically what would have taken 42 lines of code is all into this. So there is something that we do need to do though. So if we save this and we can go up here and we just hit play and say, for instance, we shift click on something, it'll say object reference not set to an instance of an object, which is what I thought it would do. So what that means is in the inventory, right where it says slots, the size is nothing. So what this is all the transforms. We need to put all these slots into here. So you can't just drag all of these and drop them in here. It's not that easy. You could wish it's that easy, but it's not that easy. So you would have to do individually put each slot into this. So it's doable, but there's an easier way. You can just take this, put the 0. Don't even bother with any of this. You don't need to do anything up here. Go straight into the code, and right up here where it says using, we're going to add another directory. It's going to be using the using, there we go, system. Alright, so what that's going to allow us to do is going to allow us to get the data from the transforms and tweak it a little bit. So we're going to add the start function back. So void start. Alright, so in the start, what we're going to do is we're going to get the transforms from each individual slot. So how do we do that? First off, we need to make the array dot resize, and we're going to resize. What are we going to resize? We're going to resize the reference to the hotbar. Hotbar, and take the hotbar count. That's where we use this dot child count. So it may seem like a bit complicated right now. So if you hover over this, it'll basically say what it. Hover over this maybe. So what this does is it takes a transform array and a new size. So this size right here, this hotbar count dot child count is the size that it equals. So hotbar count dot child count. This is basically, we're going to be setting this to the hotbar itself. So right here, this is going to equal. We're just going to drag this. Instead of every single slot, drag that into the inventory. Alright. Well, hotbar count. That's what it's going to be. So that's why we need that. That's the one thing that we need it for. And then we're going to go, after we do this, after we make that equal that, we're going to go for loop. So for int I1, just a new integer, equals 0, and then I1 equals less than or equal to the, actually, this doesn't equal 0, this equals 1. Just a little tweaking there. So if it equals, or actually if it's less than or equal to the hotbar count, actually hotbar dot length, because we already got that. We don't need the hotbar count anymore. So if it's equal or less than or equal to the hotbar dot length, then we're just gonna make it plus plus. So I1 plus plus until it equals this. So after that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say the hotbar and the what number. So it's gonna be I1 minus 1. So it gets a bit confusing right now, but just bear with me. So I1 minus 1, and that's right. So equals the game object dot find so find H slot, this, and then plus the I1 plus and the last parenthesis. So Oh, that transform. Can't forget that. Transform. Okay. So what this is saying is for the integer I, if it equals, actually it equals 1. So if it is equal to or less than hotbar, we're just going to add 1. And then the hotbar, so number 1 minus 1, so it'd be hotbar 0, equals game object that find h slot, which is the name of these. So the inventory, way up here, right down here, it says h slot. So h slot 1, h slot 2, h slot 3, all the way to 9. So it'll start at 3, but this, why this says minus 1 is because this is the array, and the arrays always start at 0. So element 0 is hotbar 1. It's very confusing. You'll get used to it. Just trust me. So this takes the transform of that, and it makes it equal to this to number 1. So we can actually basically just play this right now. So if we go up here, click on, we'll close this, and go up here where it says hotbar. See, it says nothing right here. So when we play it, it's going to equal 9. Oh, wait, actually. First off, we need to first add the hotbar to the hotbar count. Now, this will equal 9. Okay. So, it looks like it has not equaled 9. So why is that? Should array resize hotbar count child 1 for int I equals int I hotbar less than equals. So guys, back. So it looks like I actually forgot to save it. So just remember to save it every time, because you'll get frustrated after a while. Also, there's 2 things that I forgot. I forgot the capital S right here, and I forgot a space. So those couple of things took me like 15 minutes to figure out. It's really frustrating when you know it's right, but then you forget one space or something like that, and it's like it really kills you. So now it should work. So let's just go to inventory. Make sure we have the hotbar. We got the hotbar. Okay, and now let's play. So the hotbar should be 9, and it found the hotbar. That's perfect. So now we need to do this for the slots. So we'll just go back here. We'll do the same thing. Actually, this time, yeah, after that, I'm just gonna copy this and paste it down here. So there's just a couple things that we need to change. So first off, the slots, the capital S, and the slot count, or slots count. Also right here, capital S, and down here. Oh, come on. Okay, so there's also a couple things that we're missing. So right here where it says equals 1, we need to make this back to 0, and less than equals just less than. Also right here equals this, and just change these to 2. All these to 2, and right there. So that should be it. Let's test it. So just save it and go up to the game view. Right. Oh, we need to make sure you just add the transform right up where it says slots count, and hit play. So we got that. The hotbar works, and we got all of these. So if we were to make it, the reason why we changed this right here, the equals 0 instead of 1, is because the hotbar slots are 1 through 9, and the inventory slots are 0 through 41. So we really should have had those consecutive, like 1 through 42, or like inventory slot 0 through 9 or something like that. But just to make sure they're both the same. So that's why we had to change that in the code. Also, so we got that. Now what do we need to do? So we still can't shift click, and the reason for that, okay, so we're shift clicking right now, and let's see. So the sort slot, it equals 1, H slot 1, so it equals this one. So if we had this copper brick right here, and we shift in on this, see, H slot equals 2. So if this is right here, and we shift click on this, slot 1. So it does work, but now we need to make it so that it switches slots. So how do we do that? First, we go into the code. We go right down where it says the selected slot equals null and the original slot. So right in between these, we're going to do if the sort slot is equal to null, then we're going to make it equal. So just drag this all into there and delete that. So then we're going to do else. Oh, make sure it's not like capital else. There we go. Else. Oh, wrong brackets. So else we're going to do this, the selected item dot set parent to the sort slot. Alright, so after this, we actually, what we need to do is we need to make sure that down here the sort slot dot child, or get child 0 local position. So sort slot dot get child, here, get child number 0 dot local position equals vector 3 dot 0. Alright, and then down here we need to make sure we make it back to equal null. So selected slot, or selected, actually no, sort slot equals null. And that should be it for this code. So we should be able to shift click and it pops into there. If we shift click on this one, it should be the second slot, which is perfect. Now if we do that, we switches, perfect. So also if we're in here, okay, so we don't have these slots. Okay, so why is this giving us an error? So go in here. So sort slot dot get child local position equals vector 3 0. So I'm gonna actually cut this and put this into the, so else if with child this vector 3 is selected item as a parent equals selected slot. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it right up here. So there we go. So we don't do it if it does not equal else. So back. Now this should be all set. We shouldn't get any error there. So just clear that. Play. Shift click. Drag it over here. Shift click, and there we go. Let's see if we're right here in shift click. So it looks like that's all the time I have for today. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and peace out.